Eventually I got a berth on a ship to New Zealand and discovered, to my amazement, that university there was more or less free. So here I am in 1969, a student at Victoria University of Wellington, experimenting with a beard and radical attitudes. Still unsure of what path to take, I dropped out of university for a while. This job as an airport dispatch officer at Sydney Airport in 1971 paid pretty well. By the end of 1971, I had taken off again, this time on a life-changing overland journey, on local ships, buses, trucks and trains through Asia and Europe. There was only about $5 left in my pocket by the time I reached London. This photo, though, is the pass from Mazar-e-Sharif, Afghanistan, into the fabled Hindu Kush ranges. Here is the remains of Herat Castle. Herat, close to the Irani border, has seen better times. Centuries ago, it was the splendid capital of the Emperor Timur. Luckily, I could travel by bus, not donkey cart, on to Iran and later Turkey. Here in Herat you could get instant photos from a wet plate negative. What an amazing camera. I wonder if they used gunpowder for the flash. Well, 1972. Here I was in London, Danger Man, in search of an identity. That identity more or less came about by 1976. Here I am, newly made a high school teacher. After 7 years on and off in New Zealand, my first job in a high school, my students were 75% Polynesian. That was fascinating and a real challenge. After a year in New Zealand schools, I realized I could double my salary as a teacher in Australia. So I hightailed it back to Melbourne. But there weren't any jobs immediately for the taking. For a short time, I had a new career as a very bad taxi driver. As an undergraduate, I'd discovered to my amazement that when it came to linguistics, I was, well, an A-plus student. So when the professor of linguistics at Newcastle University in New South Wales invited me to lecture part-time and enroll for a doctoral degree, a PhD, well, I jumped at it. So here I am by 1979 in this photo in Newcastle, lecturing part-time, studying for a PhD, and on weekends I'd take off into the bush in an old fork and ute I'd converted to a camper. This doctoral research dragged on for years, and I wasn't getting any richer. So in 1985 and again in 1987, I took leave of absence and obtained a full-time lecturing position in the University of Technology in Lae, Papua New Guinea. PNG was a dramatically different world, where I felt rather strange at first, but eventually became so used to it that Australia seemed strange when I went back. Some parts of Papua New Guinea are truly beautiful. This is a settlement on the gorgeous Huon Gulf, where the little coastal trading ship I was on dropped some cargo. On weekends, sometimes we would go adventuring. Here is my little four-wheel drive Suzuki in the Markham Valley, heading into the mountains. In every village I came to, locals would jump on the back for a free ride. I didn't mind, but it was a bit risky. They're very quick to claim in any accident. New Guinea paid wonderfully. It was a fascinating place. But hell, it was also dangerous. The policemen went around in groups of 8. My students would sometimes come to class bandaged up from tribal wars. By the end of 1987, I was looking for an exit.